In a time when women were largely invisible in public society, one figure dared to treat them with profound dignity, respect, and even authority. He spoke to them openly, welcomed them as devoted followers, and included them in his transformative ministry. Was Jesus truly revolutionary in his approach to women, or did he simply navigate existing traditions in ways we have perhaps misunderstood through the lens of later eras? The truth, as we shall analytically explore, may profoundly challenge our preconceived notions and offer a compelling blueprint for today. Hey folks, welcome back to the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are meticulously revealed. We delve into the profound intersections of ancient narratives and contemporary understanding. If you seek to uncover the real stories behind faith and culture, subscribe, share, and join our collective search for truth. In first-century Judea, the societal landscape for women was largely defined by strict patriarchal norms and religious interpretations. Women were often relegated to the domestic sphere, their public presence minimized, and their voices frequently unheard in formal settings. This cultural framework shaped nearly every aspect of their daily lives. Religious life too often placed significant limitations on women. They were typically excluded from public roles in synagogues, unable to speak or teach, and their testimony in legal matters held less weight than that of men. These social and religious rules created a pervasive sense of restriction, often reinforcing a secondary status. Yet, against this backdrop, Jesus of Nazareth consistently engaged with women in ways that defied these established conventions. He spoke to them openly in public spaces, a stark contrast to the prevailing customs that often discouraged such interactions. His willingness to engage challenged the very fabric of societal expectations. Consider the profound implications of his actions. Mary Magdalene, Joanna, and Susanna are explicitly named as traveling with Jesus' ministry. These women not only followed him but also financially supported his work, a revolutionary inclusion unheard of in that era. This wasn't merely passive attendance, it was active, visible participation. This radical inclusion forces us to ask, what does it reveal about the divine perspective on gender roles, especially when contrasted with human-made traditions? It suggests a deliberate countercultural stance, inviting us to critically examine the origins of our own societal and religious norms. Jesus' actions provided a powerful sermon illustration, demonstrating that divine regard transcends human-imposed boundaries. Jesus' teachings and interactions consistently challenged the prevailing cultural norms, often placing women at the center of his most profound lessons. He did not merely tolerate women, he actively uplifted them, defended them, and entrusted them with significant responsibilities. His approach was undeniably revolutionary, not merely traditional. One of the most striking examples is his encounter with the woman caught in adultery. Surrounded by accusers ready to stone her, Jesus intervened with a profound challenge. Let any one of you who is without sin cast the first stone. This act not only saved her life, but also exposed the hypocrisy of her male accusers, shifting the focus from her sin to their own moral failings. He praised women for their faith, often highlighting their spiritual insight in ways that contrasted with the skepticism of men. The Syrophoenician woman, for instance, demonstrated a persistent faith that Jesus commended, granting her request despite initial reluctance. Her unwavering belief became a powerful testament to spiritual understanding. Perhaps the most radical act of all occurred after his resurrection. The first person Jesus appeared to was Mary Magdalene, entrusting her with the monumental task of announcing his return to the disciples. In a culture where women's testimony was often deemed unreliable, Jesus chose a woman to be the primary witness to the most pivotal event in Christian theology. This choice was not accidental, it was a deliberate, countercultural affirmation of women's spiritual authority and capacity for leadership. It shattered conventional expectations, demonstrating that divine revelation and mission transcend gender. This act alone provides a powerful discussion point for theologians and historians alike, challenging traditional interpretations of leadership and witness. While Jesus' actions were undeniably radical, it is crucial to understand that he did not simply dismantle all tradition indiscriminately. Instead, he operated within the existing social and religious framework of his time, yet subtly and powerfully bent its rules towards inclusion and justice. This nuanced approach allowed his message to penetrate deeply without immediate, wholesale rejection. He frequently used parables, miracles, and relatable stories to convey profound truths about equality, mercy, and justice. These narrative forms were culturally accessible, allowing his revolutionary ideas to be understood within a familiar context. He respected the cultural forms while infusing them with transformative content. Consider his interactions with the Samaritan woman at the well. By engaging her in public conversation, Jesus broke multiple social taboos concerning gender, ethnicity, and religious purity. Yet, he did so in a way that led to her spiritual awakening and her subsequent evangelism of her entire village, demonstrating a strategic approach to transformation. This subtle yet profound approach allowed his radical message to spread organically, often through the very people society had marginalized. He demonstrated that true transformation often involves working within existing structures, gently reshaping them from the inside out rather than merely tearing them down. This careful balance is a critical lesson for anyone seeking to enact meaningful change. His miracles, too, often served as powerful demonstrations of equality and mercy, extending healing and restoration to all, regardless of social standing or gender. The woman with the issue of blood, for example, was healed not through a public declaration, but through her quiet act of faith, which Jesus then publicly affirmed. This approach highlights a profound respect for individual dignity. This careful but transformative method, observed by townsfolk and followers alike, reveals a strategic genius. Jesus understood that while his message was revolutionary, its reception required a degree of cultural sensitivity. He respected culture while simultaneously reshaping it, offering a model for how profound change can be introduced without causing immediate, insurmountable resistance. The profound impact of Jesus' approach to women did not end with his earthly ministry. It laid a foundational blueprint for the early Christian communities. After his death and resurrection, women continued to play critical, visible roles, serving as leaders, supporters, and witnesses in a radical continuation of his inclusive ministry. This was not a temporary phenomenon, but a sustained theological and practical commitment. The Apostle Paul, often misconstrued as an opponent of women's leadership, actually provides compelling evidence of their significant roles. He mentions women like Phoebe, whom he identifies as a deacon and a patron of many, including himself. This designation implies a position of considerable authority and influence within the early church. Priscilla, another prominent figure, is consistently mentioned alongside her husband Aquila as a teacher and fellow worker in Christ. Notably, in several instances, her name appears before her husband's, suggesting her prominent role in their shared ministry. Together, they even instructed Apollos, a gifted orator, in the way of God more accurately. Perhaps most strikingly, Paul refers to Judea as outstanding among the apostles. This designation, whether understood as an apostle in the broader sense of a messenger or in the narrower sense of one of the 12, unequivocally places her in a position of significant spiritual authority and leadership. These examples demonstrate that Jesus' radical inclusion was not an anomaly but a foundational principle. Early Christian house churches, which formed the backbone of the nascent movement, often met in women's homes. Women like Lydia, Nympha, and Chloe hosted these gatherings, which inherently placed them in positions of leadership and influence within their communities. They facilitated worship, teaching, and fellowship, embodying the continuation of Jesus' vision. This historical evidence challenges later interpretations that sought to restrict women's roles, demonstrating that the earliest Christian communities, directly influenced by Jesus' example, embraced women's leadership and participation. It laid a robust foundation for a new understanding of gender in faith, one that recognized spiritual gifts and calling above societal conventions. Today, the debates surrounding women's roles in church and society continue with fervent intensity across various denominations and cultural contexts. Some advocate for strict adherence to traditional interpretations, often citing specific biblical passages to justify male-only leadership. Others passionately point to Jesus' radical inclusion as a definitive blueprint for gender equality and justice within faith communities. By meticulously examining Jesus' actions and teachings, we uncover a compelling model that harmonizes both profound faith and unwavering fairness. His life demonstrates that fidelity to divine principles does not necessitate rigid adherence to human-made traditions that marginalize or exclude. Instead, it often calls for a prophetic challenge to such norms. Jesus consistently challenged prevailing norms, uplifted the marginalized, and empowered those whom society had deemed less significant. His legacy is not one of maintaining the status quo, but of initiating a transformative movement that continues to inspire millions worldwide to seek justice and equality. His example compels us to critically evaluate our own practices. For theologians, this historical and textual analysis provides rich ground for re-evaluating hermeneutical approaches to gender. For religious viewers, it offers a powerful affirmation of women's inherent worth and calling within the divine plan. For historians, it illuminates the countercultural nature of early Christianity. For the general audience, it presents a timeless message. True faith often requires us to look beyond superficial customs and embrace a more profound, inclusive vision of humanity. It challenges us to consider how we, too, might embody Jesus' radical love and justice in our own spheres of influence, honoring both the spirit of tradition and the imperative of fairness. So, was Jesus revolutionary or traditional when it came to women? The analytical answer reveals a profound paradox. He was both. He respected the cultural framework of his time, operating within its structures, yet he boldly and consistently reshaped it towards a more expansive vision of justice and inclusion. His approach was a revolutionary tradition. His example challenges each of us to critically examine our own beliefs and practices, particularly concerning how we perceive and treat others. Are we upholding traditions that inadvertently marginalize, or are we striving to embody the radical inclusivity that Jesus so powerfully demonstrated? This is the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are revealed. Join the conversation. What aspects of Jesus' interactions with women resonate most with you, and how do they challenge your understanding of faith and gender today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth explorations, share this video with those who seek truth, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Let's continue this vital search for truth together.